and I can go do that, tell them what to improve, and that will help us push forward. But Dignitas, they won all their games in the first half of the split, except for 2. They lost 2 games first half of the split.
Yep.
Second half of the split, they've only won 2 games.
And those were top half teams at the time as well, CLG and Gravity. So good losses to have, if you could say that.
But they have beaten top teams before, so
Absolutely.
Dignitas are looking to get their first split magic back in time for playoffs so that they can actually pull out some victories here.
Quite a stark difference. 3 wins in that first half for NME here as they struggle to find the ground after kind of surging out of the Challenger Series and onto the scene. We'll see what they can do here in the final weeks of the LCS. The ban's on the board, a lot of crowd control being locked out here, and a bit of focus on the jungle with that Nidalee over on Team Dignitas' side. I
was actually having a conversation with NME before this, talking about how important top lane support and jungle synergy actually has become in the meta, because they're a very AD carry, mid lane centric team, and being able to adjust that, because that was their challenger style. It worked for them, where Otter and innoX were carrying games. It hasn't worked out for them in the LCS, and they're drafting some Engage to allow them to actually be able to play against a poke comp if Team Dignitas go for that. So, very interesting here from NME that they're first picking the Sivir.
Wow. Kog'Maw as well. The other side of Dignitas, keeping the Sivir away from CoreJJ, and we've seen Sivir on the ban list a lot, so for her to get by, first pick for NME for sure.
Yeah, and I like that they're drafting hard engage on blue side. It stops you from picking up the poke champion on the red side, last pick, counter pick, and making sure that you have something to deal with it on blue side. They do draft the Kog'Maw flex pick between Shiphtur and CoreJJ. CoreJJ played it yesterday as AD carry, and they did a protect the Kog'Maw strategy with Rek'Sai in the jungle, but it didn't work out for them very well. They actually lost that game to Counter Logic Gaming, exactly. But it looks like almost the same composition so far from Team Dignitas.
Yep, the Kog'Maw and the Rek'Sai are there, kind of using that flexibility, as you said. We'll see if NME falls for it. They may just go with a few picks that don't show too much of their own hand themselves. Trashy doesn't really have to take a jungler here, but could also, to, like I said, not show anything and keep it easy. No real priority picks that they have to go toward just yet. Ekko in the jungle, haven't seen him for a few weeks here. He is going to get picked up. May still be a flex coming in now for NME's side.
It could be a mid lane Ekko.
That's almost 2 flex picked up, Nautilus and Ekko.
Well, Flaresz has played it top. Nautilus has been played Bodydrop middle, or
Bodydrop
support middle. Bottom. We've seen the Ekko go to innoX and Trashy both.
Exactly.
Actually, we've only seen innoX play it. He played it against Team 8 in Week 3. And the Tom Kench hover.
Kench off the bench for the NALCS.
Doesn't look like it just yet.
Yeah, they're going back and forth. What was it? When the week that Broken Shard came in, I mentioned before, I went up to do an interview, I believe, with Shiphtur on stage, and I heard Broken Shard saying to KiWiKid, when you played Thresh that game, you had controlled the game. I want you to play like that every time. So they go ahead and revert back to Thresh. Actually have played it 3 out of 4 times if they lock this in the last 4 games.
Are they going to go? They are going to go with Gamsu's top Jarvan again. This is a champion that he has seen success with, but the last time he played it was versus Cloud9, and he went 0-4 on it. It's a very hit-or-miss champion. There's a lot of variance in it. You either take over the game, or you're going to be the reason that your team loses the game.
Very Shia LaBeouf-esque in the room right now.
It was available yesterday.
It was, yes.
But I don't know if they said tomorrow.
They said tomorrow yesterday, right?
Yep.
All right, so they are definitely taking their time, figuring out what could round out this composition. It looks like that might not be going to Shiphtur for the Kog'Maw. Figure they might want something else. You can poke people in the Cataclysm, that still works. What are they going to put together? 6 seconds on the side of NME eSports as they round it out. Probably a few picks to be switched here. The Riven gets locked in, and the Viktor for the mid lane. So that is a support Nautilus and Ekko in the mid lane.
So,
actually, no. Wait.
That's an Ekko in the jungle.
In the jungle, right. Yeah, that's what I confused myself on.
A lot of engage on this team, a lot of brawling and skirmishing power.
There's a Viktor.
This is a team that wants to run at your face. Now, this Riven top for Flaresz. Flaresz was near the top of the solo queue ladder. He was #1 at one point as a top laner. You don't get to that position as a top laner without carrying your team multiple times. Riven is in his top 3 of most played, and he can just dictate the pace of a game with that champion. Right now, though, Team Dignitas, they lock themselves into a Jarvan. So it's a Jarvan versus Riven top lane. This is very volatile, and whatever jungler you have, the Ekko and the Rek'Sai, it's all about that 2v2 power early. Who can get that advantage in the top lane for that top laner? Both of them are actually fairly poor at lane swaps, too. So if they're dove,
that's a good point.
1v3, you just have to back off. Riven has a lot of mobility in her kit. It's true, but her CSing is very difficult in that type of situation.
These are two top laners that the duos are probably going to try and find each other on this one, so the top laner is going to have a nice time to farm. Going around the jungle isn't too bad, but getting these guys nice and beefy in their own lanes would be nice. Way better.
Which is it?
They have till 20 seconds. For those who don't know, 20 seconds on the timer is the last you can swap. This gives both teams time to adjust and figure out how they want to play against their lane.
Shiphtur's sitting on Ghost, though, so that gives me...
Right.
It tips me off that it's probably the Kog'Maw.
It could go back. Are they going to play the mind games?
They're going to play it.
Haven't seen
Watch
this
those
too
hands.
Much.
They're going to click.
Watch it.
Click. Their hands are still on it.
Who's got it? CoreJJ is rolling the mouse ball.
20 seconds.
That's it. They're locked in.
They're locked in.
All right. So he keeps it. Shiphtur is on Ezreal in the mid lane. CoreJJ once again takes Kog'Maw to the AD carry position, and we are about to kick off the final day of the regular season for the North American Summer Split. And it's going to be with NME versus Dignitas. Yesterday, Zirene was an absolutely crazy day. A final bow from these gentlemen as they walk off hand in hand and leave their teams to it. As I was saying, a crazy day yesterday, Zirene. So many games changed the way that first place was now tied for so many. And we thought that TDK wouldn't get their win. It's crazy. It's going to be amazing today as well. Start sharing your predictions for this first match. Tweet NME win or hashtag dig win, and we'll check in throughout the game to see how you're calling it. A lot of ties for first place right now. A lot of people jockeying for position. NME still having to play and remember to get themselves back in, but are going to do what they can here to get the win.
And NME, you said jockeying for position. Well, they're jockeying for a possible tiebreaker against Cloud9 to see if they get selection of which challenger team to play in relegation.
Something they know the importance of.
Oh, yeah. Well, they got auto-promoted, but they did play through Challenger. They know the strength of that scene.
Yep.
And they've been trying to recapture their glory days of Challenger.
Well, that's the thing. They avoided having to select somebody. They know the importance of not having to be in that situation. See what Dignitas does here in the beginning. We heard from Otter just previously that the aggression changes from Dignitas from scrim to LCS stage. Sure, it does with most teams, but it seems to be throwing NME off still. We'll see how they take to it in the early game.
And NME's early game that you just brought up, they have the worst early game in terms of gold at 10 and gold at 20
that
for
difference
every
so big.
team in the North American LCS. When I got to talk to innoX, that's what they've been focusing on this past week. They had a successful game against TSM in that regard, where they ended up going even at 10 minutes and 20 minutes, having a slight gold advantage. But it was against a team composition that turned on late game. And this is an Ezreal mid, it's a Kog'Maw. You can't sit on your hands against this team, or they're going to become poke monsters.
Right.
So you have to be very aggressive with this Riven, give this Riven an advantage in the top lane, and then snowball that. innoX has the Viktor. He's able, as soon as he gets 1,000 gold, to clear the back wave. He puts a lot of pressure on the Shiphtur. If innoX can start getting out of the lane and moving into other lanes, then they're going to have a really good time in this matchup because of their team comp.
This previous matchup, as we saw, went to Dig in week 5. Let's see how they can handle this one. Boards all the way on both sides. Looks like we will get that matched up lane. Be very nice for these duos, but everybody's going to be hovering the bottom side here to start.
And it is going to be the 2-on-2 and 1-on-1. The 1-on-1 is what I want to keep my eye on here. Jarvan versus Riven. That tiny edge, and if they get gifted some attention and resources in the top lane, can dictate the pace of the game. These are both top laners that have burst potential if they get slightly ahead. Even if they're behind, there's outplay potential in that top lane too.
Enjoy how this game pans out. Level 6 will be explosive, and the rest of the fighting phase. NME quite good at that. Give them a good grade in the fighting phase. They actually can get themselves into pretty good positioning, make things happen with some teleports. Right now, they're going to try to get themselves, like you said, through a weak early game, something they have been working on here. And so far in the laning phase, we meet up. Like you said, 2v2 in the bot, 1 in the top here. And this, the volatile lane to start off. A ward already for Flaresz. Kind of tells me he wants to be able to go aggressive. while keeping that safety hat on to make sure Helios does not come in for help on Gamsu.
Flaresz got fairly lucky as well. He didn't end up missing any CS, so they're actually exactly the same experience.
Nicely played. Good timing to get himself across the map and set things up for an advantageous position. If he can get a level here, Gamsu may decide to go in, but he knows it's only one more CS for Flaresz, and they keep it safe. A little bit of jungle pressure from Helios towards the bottom, but it should just be for scuttle control. He'll get himself back into the jungle.
Yep. And Flaresz just going to try to use his E, his Valor, over and over again to trade, make sure that he can chunk or chip away at Gamsu. And here comes Trashy for the first gank top. He actually has a better way into this lane than he realizes. And Gamsu, if he starts using Q to CS, it's going to make it so he doesn't have an escape available to him. That's the weakness of the top Jarvan.
Be very careful about using your escape.
Oh, gank to the bottom lane from Helios. Gets
Flash on Otter already, wow.
But up top at the same time, we do see Trashy. He's going in, doesn't get the stun.
Ooh, Gamsu able to dodge out, holds the flag and drag as well. Lets enemy kind of go crazy there in the beginning and just plays it patiently. Also like to play in the bot from Helios, throwing out the Prey Seeker. Would have blown the shield from Otter, which is pretty much the reason why he flashed anyways. So getting out of that situation safe, but now having to play a little more careful with that flash down. Oh, KiWiKid. A little more careful. A little bit of a taunt here. He gets himself out. Won't be too much damage to take in lane. He should be all right.
He's still got 3 biscuits. He's got 1 to spare over Bodydrop, and he has the charges, so he's going to be fine.
Top lane 26 to 21. Gamsu pretty much missing that CS off of getting pressured in the top lane here. Dignitas, much different team than what we saw coming into the summer, or spring split, I should say. A bit stronger. But the summer split grew as well, and they were beating, as we said, top teams in the first half of the split.
It was a new Dignitas lineup. Start of the year, they didn't have Gamsu, they didn't have CoreJJ, they didn't have Helios, just KiWiKid and Shiphtur. And they brought on all these guys, not Helios just yet, because spring split, they ended up having that jungler swap. They were trying to find what worked. They ended up being 1 game away from not being in the LCS anymore on Dignitas' side. One game away.
One game. So crazy.
Honestly, 1 play, and KiWiKid made that play for them.
KiWiKid Alistar headbutt, pulverize.
But then after that, they came back, summer split, changed junglers near the start, got Helios in, and they had this gigantic surge where they were beating top teams.
Yeah. And that was with some of the changes, too, they saw throughout the entire season. A lot of these teams find a sub, and the sub hurts a little too much to keep things going. innoX, he gets the gravity field down, but he gets locked back as well. Good full team roam, pretty much, coming from Dignitas towards the mid lane to start things off.
And KiWiKid, man, this guy is just all in charge of those playmakings.
Yep.
Him and Helios alongside each other, the shot callers, the guys who go back and forth and be very vocal on the team. Let's shut down innoX. Let's shut down this guy and give Shiphtur a lane where he's AP Ezreal. He's not feeling the pressure just yet. He's even in CS. Trashy though. Helios, is he even looking?
Oh, he gets the phase dive in. Time Winder goes out. Flaresz gets exploded by the initial damage. They trade 1 for 1. Gamsu's going to be locking down Trashy. May be able to get the ult in, but doesn't actually want it. Does not actually know where innoX is coming from in the lane, but plays back and forth. That's 2 kills for Dig. They do get Gamsu going a little bit, and we said once that lane goes one side, it could get bad for the other player.
Flaresz didn't even get an assist on that. That's the bad part for NME. It was just a flat kill, so more gold going over to Dignitas.
Good point, Zirene.
Overall, just off that play. But Trashy wants more.
Parallel convergence.
No mana.
Should be able to see that, but good call. No mana, no flag and drag. Trashy stays for the kill, and he was setting that up for a few seconds there.
That was big because Flaresz ends up getting a free wave by himself. If Gamsu is pressured to use his TP to the top lane and doesn't want to miss out on that CS, like I said, very volatile top lane. It goes back and forth, it waxes and wanes. We're seeing that jungle attention immediately to the top lane for that exact reason.
So a little cooldown and pen going in for Gamsu.
There's the
choice
TP.
For pickaxe coming in from Flaresz. And he does have to get to the top lane. So TP down for Gamsu now. TP up for Flaresz could be a big play there now that we have 6 on those top laners with their ultimates up. A little bit of pressure to Bodydrop as he's getting pushed out of his jungle during his roam from top to bottom. Still trying to set up plays and wards for the team to keep innoX safe. Flaresz goes hard, gets the stun down, but he also gets stuck in. His dash going to come up soon. He's able to get out of Cataclysm, but he cannot fight Gamsu right now.
He had Flash still. He's being super conservative about using his summoners. This means that Flaresz most likely has a play in mind for some place on the map, but he's not going to be able to do it anymore. He's probably going to have to TP top now, use that just to catch waves so he doesn't even fall further behind. That was big. I don't know what Flaresz was doing. He was waiting on the E, and it's just not worth it at that point.
Nice hook. Causes Bodydrop to go all in. You kind of think if Flaresz can dodge a few of the Q attacks,
there's the TP,
then he might be able to win, but yeah, staying so close, just taking all the damage. Seems to have misplayed it a little bit, or thought he was a little more powerful with the pickaxe buy to come back maybe just straight up.
Well, pickaxe versus brutalizer. Brutalizer's going to win every day. It's got the same damage as pickaxe, more cooldown reduction armor pet. I don't know what he was thinking when he went in for those trades. And it looked like he initiated them too.
The ultimate would pretty much get him in the win of the fight maybe.
Yeah, when you use all 3 of your Qs on Riven, you're not going to be able to get out of the ultimate, especially if you just used your Valor.
Yeah. So we'll see if he can keep his head on straight. Just a few plays back and forth, but he is 0-2-0, and it becomes a tough game when Riven cannot get herself going. To the bottom side of the map, Helios uses the farm alarm to get into position here. Looks like they may just try to trade over blue, and then maybe get something to save this bottom lane. Still 3 pressure coming in from NME as they wait patiently to try and get a kill on top of the CoreJJ here.
Yeah, Otter has that farm advantage though, so it is ballooning a little bit for them. Problem though is the late game scaling. And look at this, Helios caught it. Oh, they got his E! He doesn't have it. No flash either.
NME being the aggressive team here. Otter was saying he wasn't sure how to gauge Dignitas' aggression, but I guess you gauge it by doing the same thing.
Helios ended up using his tunnel as the knockup was coming through, so it interrupted the tunnel and stopped the move block. No flash available. That puts Dragon on the table for NME.
Helios out. They know where the pressure is on the map. Don't even have to call down flares. Really good things for the start of NME here. And while it still comes to be 10 minutes, they're down in gold. They're closing a bit of the gap that they usually are near 1,000. They've cut it in half. There's still a lot more potential here for them to get in this game.
But it's still so concerning. All the kills are onto Trashy, the jungler, onto Ekko.
That's a good point, looking down at it.
There's no assists onto Flaresz. There's 1 on both of your support and AD carry. The gold distribution here is not ideal, whereas you look at Dignitas and they have a decent amount on Gamsu. Gamsu's sitting in that lane 24/7. That's the difference between having kills on your jungler and your top laner, is your top laner is always using that gold and those combat stats to fight against another force. Jungler, that gold comes out of lanes and goes to other ones. Lantern though, looking for Bodydrop. They're not going to find him. Trashy's off on the wings. It doesn't look like they want to take this though. But back to my point, having all the gold on a jungler means your jungler has to be very active and get that gold into lanes.
It's now on him. Trashy's got to make moves. Usually on that Gragas and Rek'Sai play, he's more than used to getting his hands dirty, getting into the action here.
Yeah, you have to have presence because this Jarvan is always going to beat his head against this Riven, and he's got 2 kills up, he's got 13 CS, and that CS advantage is only going to grow because he gets to zone him out because he never has a chance to fight from enemy side.
Punishing Gamsu here. We're going to say it was one or the other. Flaresz was either going to get this lane or Gamsu was again going to have a troubling Jarvan game here. It seems like he's got enough help from Helios and really a solo kill in his lane to keep things going. Top lane pressure is going to happen now for this turret. Start to open up the map finally. Usually in those swap lanes we'll get these turrets down already and things are moving, but this is just time to really set it up. They're going to light the barbecue here.
Shiphtur. If it hits, that's the go sign.
Oh! Not going to be able to do much body trap, but he gets caught in. Gamsu actually breaks the Cataclysm quick so everybody can get to their target. A nice Lantern out, and they choose correctly to get out of there with body drop and no more vision on the rest of NME. Good plays by Dig here to get themselves in the lead.
They're picking on Flaresz. Flaresz's performance in these last few games have not been good at all. 1-4 on Nautilus, 0-5 on Fizz, 2-7 on Maokai, and then you go even further back. 1-5 on Aurelia, 0-5 Nautilus. Ever since their win against TDK, Flaresz has been in a gigantic slump, and they seem to be preying on that on Dignitas' side. And another part about that play, when the True Shot Barrage comes by, it keys off go, and Shiphtur gets an assist off the back of it. The gold distribution that Dignitas is getting here is really helping them get to that point where they get past enemies early game, team composition, Riven shut down, Jarvan's now online, has full pressure in that lane, and then eventually Ezreal, just by being Ezreal, is going to have pressure in this lane, and then Kog'Maw will have pressure. You just have to wait for these spikes, and Dignitas is doing a good job of doing that.
He was able to stay incredibly safe and lane the whole time. 2 assists for nothing is pretty good for Shiphtur. He's been able to keep pretty equal CS with innoX throwing lasers down in that mid lane. Enemy now trying to take a little bit of control back in this one. Really need to get some of those damage dealers more kills. innoX and Flaresz hopefully able to join a few of these fights soon. Towards the top side, we're going to see more action. They saw the ward cover Trashy leaving, so Helios makes his way up.
And the ward coverage from Dignitas, since they had full control of that top side, is now theirs. They get to dictate everything that happens in that top lane. Nothing happens without eyes on that top lane from Dignitas. It's like they even see Trashy come into this lane. They know this is a 2-on-2. And they're still going to pick it because they have a gold advantage. Youmu's Ghostblade completed versus a Brutalizer pickaxe on Flaresz.
Look how aggressive Gamsu is being. Saying, yep, I got this gigantic winging wave. Nobody's going to fight him in that anyways. So they're going to see him in the ward and ping the mid lane here. Looks like we're going to have innoX trying to push that wave he's telling them. Will they try to do anything? Now it's Trashy in the brush that Dignitas just got a kill on Flaresz in.
There's a pink ward in there. He still hasn't cleared it yet.
Nope. He will soon.
There we go. Finally cleared the pink ward. Helios playing babysitter to his fed top laner, making sure they don't shut him down. It's very predictable though. When you have a volatile top lane, you get an advantage. You know they want to fight you.
They got volatile too fast because it slowed down. He does in fact get the hook. Bodydrop has no escape on this one. Voidoo's keeping him in range, but Otter able to push them off. Should have kept going forward, but CoreJJ was out of mana.
Oh.
The flash flame from KiWiKid.
Turn around.
CoreJJ's out of mana here. This could actually be pretty bad. A nice boomerang coming back across. The minion wave meets. Too much disruption for the fight, and both teams don't want it anymore. Summoners all blown, but CoreJJ's flash is still up on that side.
And that ward that was placed in that bottom side rush is actually a big problem, the one that just got pinged. Because Gamsu has his TP, and they know Flaresz doesn't because he just used it, Gamsu has the potential to make a play on this bot lane. You cannot walk forward as Otter and Bodydrop until you clear that ward out.
Okay, Shiphtur picks up the Magi Soul Stealer. Looks like it's going to be a stacking game for Shiphtur's Ezreal in the mid lane this time. They're 15 minutes in.
Him.
And he is yet to stack it as he just bought it. Flaresz gets taken down the moment he is up. It seems like he cannot keep himself on the map because Dignitas is just prioritizing him over and over again. It's been a tough game for him.
Oh, and they see that it's been a tough game for Flaresz. 0-4, shutting him down. Shiphtur has a Magi Soul Stealer already. Second item, AP Ezreal. I assume he's just going to start shooting his true shot barrages off to the sides, getting assists, and trying to stack that up very slowly over time. But eventually, he's hoping for that 20 stack.
Well, a good job by NME to keep themselves in here, stealing resources left and right, making sure Dignitas doesn't get big leads with little things. Otter's clearing out bot turret here. Start to open up the map just a little bit. When we get these 2v2 lanes, things really tend to slow down unless the jungle pressure becomes very big. Helios was able to do a bit of that. He has 3 kill participation out of the 5. So not too shabby for himself. 4 for Gamsu. So you can tell a lot of that action has just been in the top lane.
For the blue.
Nope. Not gonna get it. A little early. Always worth a shot though.
But he gets to clear out the mid wave.
Yep. So
see how many innoX ends up losing for that.
Infinity Edge to Triforce has just come out for the AD carries as well, so a good burst there could be very, very useful at the first dragon, or second dragon I should say. Could be first for Dignitas.
Oh, Flaresz.
Oh, that Q damage.
Flaresz keeps playing like he's ahead in this lane and just has an enormous advantage, but you're 0-4. You need to reel it back a little bit. You have as many deaths as the enemy top laner has kill participation, so
you almost have to play like that sometimes.
Yeah, you might have wanted to play like that a little while earlier before that. Because that top lane was equalized. The CS was very close for a while. Like I said, it keeps ballooning.
Especially
and there's the TP to the ward.
That kill to come back.
Still has ulti.
Oh my word!
Slam.
That's the Tiamat coming in. Big damage. Gamsu's coming up big on the Jarvan once again for Dignitas here. 7-3, 18 minutes. They're going to start moving on to the Dragon.
That's the type of play that they were looking for. They knew the TP was not up for Flaresz because they kept camping that top lane. And then they used Gamsu to make a play bottom off of Flaresz's back when he went for that awful trade top. Flaresz is honestly costing NME this game.
Unfortunate that
it's true.
It can't. Well, the selection of champion as well, in way of comfort, still very risky. Because once this happens, you almost have no chance of coming back. Save, you get everybody low health and you hit a beautiful wind slash come the next dragon fight, right? There's still that chance, but a very far off chance here with the way Dig is positioning, how they're entering fights, and the way they're taking consideration of everything. Flaresz, once again, even though you're with the team, if you're the caboose still is not safe. You gotta be careful. Unfortunate there, he was just following Trashy, but Dig still all over him.
Dig is kicking the puppy right now. That's just the gold bag in the top, and they just keep revisiting it. Trash is going to go aggressive here. Don't know if they can actually get away with this. We'll see.
Flash not up for KiWiKid here. He's going to go down. Helios able to get out with Shiphtur. Chaos Storm not doing too much as there's not much AP on innoX just yet. NME is now struggling to get their core items finished here.
Oh, Rek'Sai behind. Here comes the TP play. Rek'Sai is still behind them. They can turn on Helios right now.
Flaresz is in, the full gap closer used by him to get into range. He's gonna have to run towards the top side now. Everybody from NME onto Helios. Look at what Dig is now getting in the mid lane. NME's gonna continue chasing. innoX has peeled off, understanding that they need to be cleared, as Bodydrop is also making his way there. It's already gone though, the map's even more opened up for Dignitas now. And Helios may just get an execute here. Minions could have kept that attack damage on him, but we'll see, and boop. Nicely played. He swims himself to safety, if you will.
They get no kill.
Nope.
They use their TP, and they lose mid lane for that play. NME get nothing out of it. They lose pressure, and they lose a turret. Dignitas are just playing way more calculated this game.
Yeah.
It is still rather strange. But Gamsu, when his Jarvan gets snowballing, he's going to take over the game. When they first had that large kick in their first half of the season, he had a 6-4 and 12 Jarvan game. That enormous fight in the mid lane that happened where he got rolling. This just happened in the laning phase. Now he gets the snowball out of the laning phase off of the help of Helios and his team.
He was playing crazy in the beginning. Just looking back at some of the stats, 11-0-10, that Hecarim game versus Impulse in week 4. His Gnar games where he set up Shiphtur for the pentakill. Bodydrop getting caught out now. What would you ever think that they're just chilling there when nobody's pushing the top lane? No.
Probably not.
Probably not. But they get Bodydrop for it, and Gamsu is just hitting everything in his Jarvan combos, from Qs to flags and the cataclysms in the right spot. Any of that misses, and somebody's going to walk away, right? That combo will zero somebody out, but he's been nailing every bit of it.
He's got ridiculous damage at this point. He's at 250 AD, and his Q does about 450.
Last Whisper, Youmuu's, Tiamat.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Even just the flat base damage. 450 versus Otter's HP pool of 1,400. You chain all his abilities together, you get an auto in there with his passive and his R, which is doing about 600 damage already. Yeah. Otter doesn't stand a chance.
You're already killing the next person halfway there. You've turned away from Riven already.
Yeah, it depends on how many people you actually get your shish kebab Q.
The shish kebab Q. I like it. We'll see what he can serve up for the rest of the team. Across the board, everybody's been able to participate for Dig. A little bit of action and extra money in the pocket here. Means pink wards and more forward wards that are helping them. Trashy looking to get himself something and the team an assist here. That's going to be the depth charge that keeps Helios in place. Dig's looking to ping Baron on this. A lot of focus down to the bot side of the map, and they are on the worm.
Bold call there, but nobody's going to be able to stop this. They don't even have globals available. The pings come out. Maybe it's happening, and it's gone already. 22-minute Baron for Dignitas.
Second time they tunnel on to just
but
one
innoX,
kill.
he still has to check it. They don't have vision.
On the wrong side of the map, too. What a dangerous path to walk through. innoX goes down there. Dignitas running amok on this one, doing everything they can to shut down a person if they see them. Make sure that turret goes down if it's anywhere near in front of them.
And just to give an idea of how this game has been going. Oh, we get to follow it! I know there's at one point where it wasn't following it properly, and you only see him for a split second. That actually makes me happy. That's really cool. But
oh, Bodydrop!
Oh.
Not going to be too happy. He did get the anchor toss over to
Gamsu.
the wall. That means he get a bit of cooldown. He might be able to use it once again towards the Raptor pit or get himself towards red. Raptor pit grab. It's going to be Prey-Seek.
EQ.
And oh, he just gets the Riptide out. Time Winder's going to slow everybody down, but they speed it back up. Bodydrop still goes down, and they are going to get another kill. Like I said, once Dignitas sees somebody, they take that person down.
And just to give you an idea of how this game has been going, Gamsu has participated in 9 out of the 11 kills.
Pretty
the
good.
next highest person has participated in 5 out of the 11.
Yeah.
4 less kills. Gamsu is all over the map, and once you got him snowballing, he's able to take over the lane, and then he spills that over to other lanes. It's the whole kind of avalanche effect from the top lane.
It happens a lot more than not when you have Gamsu being the guy that gets ahead in the lead. He did it in his Rise games. We mentioned the Hector one earlier. His Gnar, where he teleported in to make sure they had a good fight with Shiphtur.
Yeah.
He's really on point with getting where the team's going to be fighting.
Though, not on point. Out of position. No. Oh, deleted.
Down. Trashy goes in, thinking the team has a bit of an advantage here with the turret to fight on. A box for the re-engage completely shuts out enemy. And Shiphtur in a bad spot. Win/kill does not go over to Flaresz, though. He only gets an assist on that. It goes over to Trashy, the guy who already has 4 kills. Unfortunate there. Flaresz flash in, he gets the stun down, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Here's the TP from Gamsu. I wouldn't put it past him that he's going to fly through the turret, and he gets a crush down right onto Flaresz. That turret wasn't even there for him.
Oh man, Gamsu, this is the guy that halfway through the split, when Dignitas had only lost 2 games in the first half, was in the conversation for being possibly the best top lane carry in North America. This is him looking back to form.
Definitely puts the carry pants on, cooks for the team. He serves up the kills as well. Dragon goes down, number 2 for Dig, number 3 of the game. So there is a stall towards the 5th one, but we'll take a look again here at this. Once innoX goes down, it seems enemy still wants to fight in some capacity, which usually should be turned off right away.
Yeah, they're waiting for the flank, they're waiting for Otter to come up the gut, and he gets there with the ulti, but he really doesn't get to do anything in this fight. And meanwhile, Gamsu is shoving bottom, getting damage on this turret.
Yeah, and before he TPs.
And as soon as Flaresz goes for this play, Gamsu TPs in, and then he's able to turn around.
This is his map. He's putting up Gamsu flags everywhere right now. Unfortunately, oh no, they did get that. I was going to say,
oh man,
did not go to them, but they get it.
Helios with the Zeke's Herald by. Very supportive jungler.
Very supportive for a jungler indeed.
It's very good in this team.
Interesting.
It's very good in this team composition. Even when you think about it from a lifesteal perspective, Ezreal Q will apply on hit effects.
So much free time for one member or another, especially even the AD carry to be here by himself. They have a bit of a defensive wall and champions on the way there, but he is just having a field day with turrets.
Flaresz.
Helios and Flaresz going 1v1 toe-to-toe, but Gamsu feels like he wants to jump in. Drops the Cataclysm right away. Price-Seeker gets him.
This is brutal. Dignitas, they're the team that's in 6th right now. They're the team that knows they're locked into that last playoff spot. Whoever ends up 3rd has to play this Dignitas that's looking like they're having a bit of a surge here at the end of the season. And that's what they're all about right now. They know they're locked into 6th. They're just playing to get their mojo back.
Right. We also have to look at TDK, or enemies comp, I should say, and know that they came in picking champions. Also that they wanted to play this game. The Riven, a very risky pick. Flaresz knew that. Didn't pay off, so you kind of have to deal with that. He made his bed. He's going to have to sleep in it.
Yeah, they had the goal of winning the early game, and especially against Dignitas' comp with Ezreal Kog'Maw, you'd think you'd be able to win the early game. But it was all focused on that top lane, and it got out of control. And when this late game composition beats you early game, and they're already 10,000 gold up at 27 minutes.
The top lane could have been a big what if for this game.
Oh, CoreJJ out of position though.
They're going to walk straight up to him to get the passive shot on. Very well played by Bodydrop. They had the Sivir ultimate to get in. So a few kills here and there. That is a shutdown. Not too many of those to be had. Dig still has a few kills that went their way, so their gold isn't too big to be rewarded over on the side of enemy for these kills just yet. Banner of Command built up by KiWiKid, so now even more trouble and kind of multitasking on enemy's plate here to make sure their lanes are pushed up. Baron in 1 minute. I'm sure Dignitas is going to pressure Enemy into that fight, no doubt about it. They already have about 5 pick boards on that area.
And when you have this type of gold lead this early on, you definitely want to pick that fight. Kog'Maw's online, double attack speed items.
Yep.
Shiphtur has his death cap completed. His Magi's is still at 5 stacks.
Yeah.
Hasn't gotten anything off of that. Got some assists, ended up dying. And this is the point in the game where you would see a Jarvan fall off in the top lane. But when you're 7-1-4, it's a very long time before you start falling off.
So what's his consideration? Just more damage, doesn't get much out of lifesteal to go fully to Hydra, so he went the F-Sword?
Well, the difference between the Hydra and the Tiamat is about 35 damage.
Okay.
So the BF Sword gives you 50,
right.
And he's just looking to blow people up on contact.
Had the money, why not spend it?
He doesn't even have boots. Boots don't give you damage. He just wants to burst.
He's got brown bags.
He's essentially the person who dives in, weakens everybody, so that Shiphtur can blow them up with AoE spells, so that CoreJJ can see them from far.
Flaresz is all about the no boots. He's running around, getting his toes stepped on right now.
Step on a rock?
Yeah, you're done. Maybe there's a Lego piece somewhere.
Oh, man.
You're done.
Oh, you tilted me.
Who knows?
Triggered me.
Where are they going to go with this? Dignitas in such control of this game. What a dominating game one to start day 2 here. They definitely came to play and are really giving enemies some trouble. Live is the Baron, 1 minute on to Dragon, and this only gives Dignitas more opportunities to get into the fights they want.
They see each other.
Let's see how quick this is. There's the Yo moves, that's the hit. Hydras go off on both sides. Wow, flashes right out. For a second, I couldn't tell if he was going to be able to get take him down.
And whoever wins that bottom fight got Baron priority because their top laner's alive with TP. That's exactly why Gamsu wanted to pick that fight. Trashy, is he going to get hooked? What's going to happen?
KiWiKid doesn't try to go for it, living artillery over the side. KiWiKid missing just on that hook. Ooh. Almost down to the entire team, which have made it a nice fight for Dignitas to follow through on. Maybe the hook, it does get Bodydrop. They actually dodge out of the gravity field. Nice moves by Helios and KiWiKid to not fully walk right into that. And they still have a chance to pursue this fight. Moving up, they have all the coverage behind them if they're to retreat, but I don't think that's even an option. They don't have to.
Dignitas with the Baron buff. Shoving down mid lane, looking to get this turret. They're going to get it very quickly as soon as Gamsu gets a piece of it as well.
Parallel convergence. Unfortunately, Trashy did not make it inside the circle. No stun, just slows. And they are backing off. Don't think it would have been too much of a fight. They're just deterring Dignitas from getting to the turret. Once again, though, the minion wave is all they need. A few more shots, and one's going to get it. The minion should be able to take it down. The fight's going to happen, though. Enemy don't have a turret to run under anymore. They left it as soon as it died, and Dignitas takes that into consideration. Still moving through with minions. Otter uses the heal. Didn't have his spell shield up from just using it. Quite a long cooldown, and they take advantage of it.
Dignitas, they're going to end the game at 31 minutes. If they were looking for their playoff mojo, they might be getting it here. They have this banner of commanded minion up, and it's got Baron buff.
Enemy was able to take the previous game to 57 minutes. Not today, though. Dignitas was able to find a spot in the armor to just dive right in, get under the skin of enemy, and take them down. Dignitas in 31-26 takes down enemy.
Dignitas lock into 6th place.
Yep.
If you are going to end this day in 3rd place, I'd be scared. At top of the table tiebreaker just got a little more interesting because whoever drops out of that has to play this team. And enemy do not get their choice of who they play in relegation.
Nope. What a ride for both teams. Like we said, Dignitas switching players in and out, a surge to start the split, only losing 2 games in the first 5, and then to drop 6 games on the back end.
They lost 2 in the first half, then they had only won 2 before this victory in the second half.
Crazy. Great play all around. Gamsu definitely stepping up here at the end of the season for the team. The ability to sort out jungling and management, not management, but coaching at the end as well to get them the authority that they needed to keep a straight head on for the end of the split.
It's a bigger struggle than people think. When you lose your coach, the guy who had come on last split, started seeing a surge in your team, started dictating the play style, nurturing the players and what they wanted to grow in, and replacing that, it's a big adjustment period. And Brokenshard has stepped in and they've been able to come up with some compositions that seem well practiced.
Absolutely.
And they're not changing people's tendencies.
Yep.
They're letting Gamsu still play top carries. And if Brokenshard still continues to be the coach for this team in playoffs, it doesn't look like it's going to be that big of a hiccup from now to then.
We can see communication for the team, discussing, what went wrong, what went right, the things that happened in the early game. I think the 2v2 matchup in the lanes really helped Dignitas, a much more experienced team in the situation of roaming. And as soon as you have lanes matched up, if CoreJJ's doing okay, KiWiKid was off. We saw that first kill on innoX in the mid lane. They instantly started to roam, instantly started to put wards down. It was Dignitas' game in that sense to start off in the 2v2.
Yeah, the warding game was really good because Helios didn't have a Sightstone for a big portion of that early game. He ended up getting it fairly later. But they already had topside littered with wards. He didn't have Sightstone at that point, and he even got Ruby Sightstone by the end of everything.
Yeah. I didn't realize, but Gamsu just finished up an Infinity Edge in the end there.
Yeah.
Gotta get all the damage.
You lose track of the items when everybody's just getting destroyed.
When you're fighting everyone. He almost reached Ezreal.
Yeah, when you almost reach the poke champion
Ezreal.
as the dive champion.
20,000, not much.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. And we were saying, Gamsu, he misses one of those Qs and he hits his ult. They're just going to flash out. But he was hitting every Q, every flag and drag he needed to, diving past turrets. The TPs were on point. And I think NME as well, while playing, a fun game, choosing the champions they want with Riven, also still kind of tunneled in on those kills too much. Very big gaps in the game were created on both of those tunnel kills.
But it's strange because they were tunneling on kills in a solo environment, not an assisted environment. Flaresz looked like he just was going to try and take over that lane by himself.
Right.
And then it was the complete opposite. As said at the start, you either win that lane really hard and take over the game, or you lose that lane.
High reward.
Sometimes it's not even a reward.
No.
Sometimes it's just high,
you gotta try
lost the game.
You got to try. So let's send it down to Freak now, who's on stage with Dig's victorious